from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
And good evening, I'm forecaster John Bordash with you still here in the Weather Center, continuing to keep you updated on Tropical Storm Elsa, what we're looking at across our region. If you can hear me fine, let me know in the comments before we get too underway with this, just to make sure that we are all good to go. In the meantime, while we wait for that, we will try to get something, I'll try to start discussing it and hope that everyone can hear me. But we do have rain continuing to move into the region. I think that's probably the most obvious thing to say. And we're looking at some gusty winds. And, okay, guys, I'm looking over here to make sure that people can hear me. And it looks like, yes, people can hear me, which is awesome. Thank you. Because the times I don't ask that question, it tends to be the case. But as we zoom out, let's just give radar a pause of where we currently are right now. And if we zoom out, and actually I need to switch us on over to our national radar. What I will show you real quick is that our tornado watch is getting trimmed back some. And actually, if I were to show you a different way to look at this, come over here. So let me turn the radar off. These areas here in red, this is what's left of the tornado watch. So it's really just kind of this area now that we're looking at for that tornado watch until 11 o'clock. That tornado threat is just about diminished. So the atmosphere was marginally conducive for maybe 1 or 2 weeks spin up tornadoes in our region today. We didn't really see that come to fruition, which is good news. I didn't expect this to be anything like what we saw with Isaias last year, and sure enough, that hasn't been the case thus far. Taking it back over here, though, what I wanted to do was show you the national radar composite, and if we can, oh, give me 1 second, I need to sneeze. Oh, my apologies. I needed to sneeze last, when we had the 9 o'clock update, then I went away, and sure enough, we popped that out during this one. Anyway, we are talking about, if we zoom out here a little bit on our national radar mosaic. Thank you, everyone. Try my best to hold those in, but that one had to come out. You can see the twisting and turning with Tropical Storm Elsa. It's now nearing the lower parts of the bay. Now, this is going to continue out into the Atlantic off the Delmarva here over the next couple of hours. And as we give this a pause quickly, what we're going to be talking about, if we see, well, the worst part of this storm is going to be in this band. I'm circling right up and through here. I know that might be hard to see because it's a white stylus on top of yellow, but this is going to be some of the worst weather, the heaviest rain, the gustiest winds. This is going to gradually pivot around. It's not, I mean, this isn't going to, like, what's over towards Ocean City is going to pivot all the way around to Annapolis. That won't happen. But areas south of Prince Frederick, south of Leonardtown, I think those are going to be the areas that are able to get in on some of this. We're currently, according to radar at least, looking at some pretty heavy rain. Not pretty heavy, but looking at some heavy rain with some gusty winds down towards like Scotland and Ridge. And we did get reports from Pax River as well as Webster Airfield down there in Scotland of 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts down that way. So this is going to be the worst of the weather. Tropical Storm Elsa sitting right around here and is currently racing here to the north and to the east. So this will pivot around a little bit, but the storm is moving pretty quickly to the north and east. So locally, the areas I think that we're talking about to potentially see maybe the worst weather from this little band. And I think I need to turn this off so I can zoom us in here. I think it's really going to be it's really going to be like this area in here. This might extend up to Prince Frederick into Mechanicsville, but I really think it's this area down to the south and east that's going to be able to get in on this main band that's moving through. So like areas like Leslie, California, Hollywood, on over towards Leonardtown. These are going to be the regions we're talking about to potentially maybe get in on some of the heavier rains here over the next little bit. But we're kind of in the peak of the storm right now. This is fitting nicely with our storm timeline that I had put together earlier. earlier today, that really between about now and about midnight, 1, 2 o'clock is when we're going to see some of the nastiest weather. Let me take you over to Futurecast. This rendered earlier today. I have not had time to update this yet, but I'm still doing a pretty good job. Our Chesapeake's Bounty Futurecast, this rendered back around 6 o'clock. But if we get this to 10 o'clock and show you what this was showing for 10 o'clock, it's not too far off. Let's compare. This is what's going on right now at 10:05. This is what our Chesapeake's Bounty Futurecast had. They are almost identical. It even has the showers over towards Charles County and then some of the heavier rains. I mean, it has maybe closer to DC, but it has a good idea. And as we continue to push this forward, by about 11 o'clock, by about midnight, I mean, you have that outer band that could potentially have some heavier rain with it that crosses Anne Arundel, PG, Charles County. But some of the heavier rain and some of those gustier winds, that's really going to be confined there in southern Calvert, southern St. Mary's County. And you can even see some red areas kind of painted throughout across the ocean and on over towards New Jersey and Delaware. Those storms then would have a potential to rotate out there. But in our region right around midnight, I think is probably when and let's call it maybe, I guess, the peak, but after about 12 o'clock, that's when things really start to wrap up. By 1, 2 o'clock, that last band's moving through, so that by 3, 4, and 5, we're really looking good across our region. And I really think that about gets us through the storm then. So we will continue to watch this. Again, it really is just that tornado threat's really minimal. I mean, we're still in the tornado watch here until 11 o'clock. I don't think we necessarily need to be at this point, but we'll keep an eye on it. That threat is still there to see something. And we will continue to monitor that threat. Yeah, Crystal's saying it's really coming down to Mechanicsville. I mean, radar isn't all that impressive on over there, but I'll take your word for it. Emily's saying it's still raining in Huntingtown. Barry, let's see, heavy rain in Scotland and gusty winds. Yeah, right down here. You're in one of those Dameron near St. Mary City Ridge. You're in one of these oranges here. That's where we're looking at some of that more moderate rain moving in, and I'm not seeing any real areas of rotation in our region right now, so I don't think we're really talking about too much. If I were to switch this over to velocity mode, and this shows us where we have winds going towards and away from the radar, you would want a couplet of green and red kind of getting close together. I see no evidence of that anywhere right now. If I actually turn this off, we'll see how our mesoanalysis is trying to identify our wind gusts right now, see if that's anywhere close. I suspect it might not be, but this does kind of show you. So this isn't radar right now. This is radar trying to estimate the winds. We're seeing the general theme here is that the highest wind gusts are down towards southern St. Mary's County locally, and then where we at the center of Elsa down here in southern Virginia, we're getting wind gusts 40 to 50-ish miles an hour on over that way. We'll see what our surface observations are saying in terms of wind. We'll throw on ship and buoy observations as well. See if they want to show us anything. And as we zoom into our region here, we are noting 36 mile an hour gust on over towards Pax River, 36 down towards off of one of our buoys, 32 off of Cove Point there near the I want to say that's near the LNG facility there in Cove Point. We're talking 38 on over towards Piney Point, Tall Timbers, that area, 39 Louisetta. So you get the general idea here. And we're going to see these winds. I mean, the gustiest winds between about now and about midnight or so. Really, the next 2 hours, I think, is the time frame we're looking at for all of this to be the worst. Not horrible. I mean, you'll be fine, but the worst. And then we begin to really kind of gradually clear out here so that by 3, 4, 5 o'clock, when you're waking up tomorrow morning, you'll be all good. And we're not talking about too much in the way of rain thus far. If we throw on our precip analysis thus far, let's do it last 12 hours. Let's get that loaded up here. We'll turn these off. And this is just a radar estimate, so it's very possible you've seen more or less than this. But radar right now is estimating getting near an inch in Scotland and Ridge, right around half an inch so far in Lexington Park, about let's call it 3/4 of an inch on over towards Cobb Island, Bushwood. More rain down here towards the northern neck, getting 1 to 3 inches over there, Salisbury cracking in right around an inch or so. So this just gives you a general idea of how things are looking at the moment right now, and kind of where radar pegs the rainfall as we stand. So we will continue to watch this. I think we will continue to have rain move through the region over the next little bit. Let's get this towards reflectivity here. And yeah, radar's really picking up on some of the heaviest rain right now. I'm starting to move into Cove Point, Drum Point, Rousby Hall, down there towards Solomon's Island, Town Creek, Pax River, Callaway, down there towards Hermanville, Piney Point, St. Mary City, really starting to get on some of that heavier rain now. Dameron, Scotland Ridge, this area down in here, Tall Timbers. These are all the areas we're talking about now, starting to get in on some of that heavier rain. Jeffrey's saying a whole lot of lightning. Let me turn on our lightning tracker. I haven't been keeping tabs on that at all today. But lightning tracker isn't really showing too much right now. So, oh, Jeffrey said a whole lot of nothing. I've read that as lightning. Jeffrey, I mean, we weren't like expecting this to be a whole, like, the forecast was never for this to be like a massive hurricane that was going to take everyone down. The forecast has always kind of been, you know, some rain and some wind for Southern California and Southern St. Mary. So if you're expecting a whole lot more than what we're seeing now, maybe I didn't do a good enough job relaying that, but I think I did a decent job of that. Raining a bit in Oakville, pouring in Piney Point, and I would 100% believe that one. Someone's saying Storm is a bust. Doug, Storm is not a bust in La Plata. I promise you it isn't. In La Plata, we weren't expecting that much in La Plata to start with. So, my apologies if you were expecting, 6 inches of rain and like 70-mile-an-hour winds in La Plata. Pretty windy on St. George Island. Oh, Christy, I know I did great. I'm just messing around. I know. People will say it's fun. But we will continue to watch this. Rain should begin to move out here by about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Can it be safe to drive on 95 headed towards New York? Probably not. I think this storm's going to be moving up the coast. So on up towards New York, southern New England, that region, you're going to be looking at heavier rain on up towards that area by about sunrise. So I would stay away from traveling on up there. Let's see, downpour in Piney Point. But that is all I have for right now. I think we'll probably end up doing 1 or 2 more of these hourly updates at 11 and around midnight. We'll kind of see how things shape up, and we'll kind of develop a game plan from there. I would suspect midnight will probably be our last hourly update. Not looking at all that much going on right now. Aside from, if you're down in Lexington Park, you're down towards St. Mary City, you're saying, well, we have heavy rain and wind here. But there's not too much more I can say about that other than there's heavy rain and gusty winds down that way. But we will touch base again here in about an hour, right around 11 o'clock, give you your 11 o'clock update on what we're seeing across the area. So stay tuned. I will continue to keep you updated. In the meantime, though, I am forecaster John Bordash. I will continue to stay here in the Weather Center for the next little bit. I am getting some homework done right now. My summer classes started up on Tuesday, so this tends to always happen. My winter break, we had no snow. Literally, my first week of the semester is when we kicked off that 3-week period of consistent winter storms. We've seen almost nothing all summer in terms of crazy weather, and sure enough, the first week of my summer classes, there's a tropical storm. But I'm doing that while I'm not on live with you all, but I will be back at 11 o'clock to continue to keep you updated. In the meantime, forecaster John Bordash, have a nice and safe one. You keep it tuned right here to JB Weather.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.